Hi everyone, I'm Matt from Forbidden Planet London's comics department, here with another one of my excellent recommendation videos for our new release comics. So we're going to jump straight in with the second issue of the Savage Sword of Conan. The stories in this issue are brought to you by regular Conan writer Jim Zub and artist Richard Pace. That's the first main story and it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's about 50 pages of story. You get a complete tale in that. There's no part 1, part 5, anything like that. You're basically getting a complete mini graphic novel for the price of a regular comic. So your quid's in really, isn't you? And to talk about Richard Pace's art for a moment, I absolutely love this story in here. This is just sort of fantastic, pure sort of 70s sort of Conan. It's got this fantastic kind of film storyboard kind of sketch quality to it. And it feels to me almost as if this is someone that's just completely in the zone and they've just whacked out just this pure perfection on their first try. Yeah, highly recommend it. Excellent Conan story. You get in, get your story, get out, and then you think you're done. But no, there's a little backup story in there brought to you by writer and artist Patch Zerka, focusing on everyone's favourite Puritan, Solomon Kane. This one is a multi-part story, the final part of which is going to be in issue 3. And yeah, what can I say about it? It's just great fun. Like Conan, obviously, Robert E. Howard's biggest character, and seeing Solomon Kane is a great sort of into the other sort of time periods, other characters in that sort of Howard verse that may or may not be becoming a more official thing. Perhaps if you feel inclined, check out the Conan Free Comic Book Day issue for a bit more info there. And yeah, then we're going to go on to something completely different. We're going to jump over to Disney for Lilo and Stitch number 3. This one's brought to you by comics mainstay writer Greg Pak, who you might know from Darth Vader at the moment, or his run on Planet Hulk a few years back, and artist Julia Giacomino. This series is just great fun. I've been really enjoying it. It's basically each issue, Stitch has been abducted and he's escaping and he's finding his way around the world. This issue, he's on some escapades in Australia, and yeah, just sort of shenanigans, mayhem ensues, as you'd expect with Stitch. As you can see from the art here, it's just this brilliant sort of very sort of comfy Disney kind of cartoony feel to it. So if you love the film, if you watch the TV series on Disney Plus, or if you're old enough like me to remember it on TV at the time, highly recommend picking this up. It's an excellent just jump back into everything you loved about Lilo and Stitch. And then we're going again for something completely different. We're going for a double here. We've got the White Trees and Whisper Queen number 1, brought to you by Chip Zdarsky and Chris Anker. You may remember, if you've been with us for a few years, the White Trees is this is a collection of the 3 previous issues from this sort of new at the time series that Zdarsky and Anker were doing. It's basically sort of 18 plus kind of Dungeons and Dragons fantasy story in which one of the 3 main characters, they're this sort of like group of friends and former friends and outlaws and adventurers, and they all come together for sort of like one final mission to rescue one of their children, and then shenanigans ensue. It's very much, just to make you aware, it's very much 18 plus, lots of gore, lots of swearing, but it is also just very fun. Zdarsky knows how to balance that humour and the heartache, and Chris Anker, his art is just, it's so crisp, it's so clean, and it just draws you in. It's very captivating. So to sum it up, basically you got swords, shields and genitals. What more could you want? And if you love this collection of the first 3, we've got the new series here, The Whisper Queen, which is starting with issue 1 this week. And yeah, I highly recommend picking them both up. This is an all-new world from creators we know and love and trust. Cannot recommend those enough. Speaking of things we know and love and trust, it is the 25th anniversary of the release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And those of us like me who had this as your first Star Wars film in the cinema, we are now old enough to be the nostalgia market. It's okay if you need to like cry, compose yourself a little bit, and then come back to this, because this is a great little insight into, sort of framed but through Shmi Skywalker's outlook, and it's her basically pondering what ifs on what happened to Anakin after he went away with Qui-Gon. It's brought to you by Greg Pak and artist Will Sliney, and this doesn't tie in specifically to Greg Pak's Darth Vader run, for those of you that are interested in any connections there. However, it does very much illuminate some different looks into Anakin and some motivations that definitely I think are relevant to the ongoing run there. And yeah, highly recommend it. Good in and out, done in one story, and lovely hit of like nostalgia and something new as well. And then we're going over to Marvel Mainline. We've got the new issue of Blood Hunt #1 by Jed MacKay and artist Pepe Larraz. This is superheroes versus vampires. Jed MacKay's been building to this for years. It's basically just sort of chucking everything at the wall and watching it explode. It's brilliant. I absolutely love this. The writing's great. You don't need to have read everything else that MacKay's written before, but if you have, you'll pick up on a few things that have been seeded throughout. And Pepe Larraz obviously is an artist who is just at the absolute top of his game, and has been for a few years now, and that continues here. And if you can't get enough of Larraz's art, there is also this new edition, this new format that Marvel are doing for some of their new releases coming up. The Red Band edition. This is, broadly speaking, the same comic here. However, with some extra additional pages of art and story, and very much with an 18+ rating. So if you want to see the vampires, I guess sort of, you remember Blade, Wesley Snipes, very much 18. If you want that feel, the Red Band edition is where you want to go, just to see Pepe Larraz just completely cut loose. Speaking of 18+, we're going to go over to Get Fury with Garth Ennis's return to The Punisher. And if you thought that wasn't enough, this is also the return of Marvel's Max line. And cherry on top, it's not just The Punisher, it's Garth Ennis writing Nick Fury as well. So if that's not sold it to you, I don't think you've been paying attention, to be honest, because I don't know what more you'd want from Garth Ennis and Marvel. This is absolutely great. It's very bloody, it's very gory, it's very Garth Ennis in the best way possible. Just letting loose and letting these characters speak for themselves and interact, and just create sort of a beautiful disaster, really. And that's, of course, to say nothing of the art from Jason Burrows, who is, probably, this may, in fact, actually, I don't even know if I can show you this page because perhaps it has some rude words on it. But yeah, the art is great. It's very clean. It's got some great colours, and it's quite reminiscent in quite a few ways of the late Steve Dillon's art, who's obviously one of Garth's greatest collaborators. So yeah, highly recommend this. Garth Ennis firing on all guns, as are the characters, and Jason Burrows knocking it out of the park. We're then sticking with Marvel for one final go around. We've got the Immortal Four, and this is number 10. We've got it coming to you from Al Ewing and artist Carlos Magno. And this is basically Al Ewing just absolutely having the time of his life at the expense of the people paying him to do it. This is a very tongue-in-cheek look at kind of like superhero cliches and some of the repetition we're seeing in action movies at the moment. And it's just, yeah, to sum it up, Thor has basically been bought by the evil multinational Roxxon Corporation, who absolutely share no similarities whatsoever to Marvel or Disney. And it's just Thor is, at this point, he's stuck in a phase where he doesn't have a single original thought in his head, and he's got to fight against these thoughts puppeting him into all sorts of cliches. And it's just, I can't even describe how meta it is. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's Al Ewing firing on all guns again, like just at the top of his game. And yeah, if you've been sleeping on this series, get into it. It's absolutely brilliant. And then we're going to go over to DC now. So we've got DC Spring Breakout, which is their latest anthology series, coming to you from so many creators. You've got Megan Fitzmartin, for example, from the recent Tim Drake Robin series. She's got a brilliant Teen Titans story in here. We've got a Batman Mr. Freeze story. And just if you're a fan of the heat, of sun, of summer, and you're sick of looking out the window and crying almost as much as the rain outside, then this is a great escape for you. It's just the DC heroes having fun in the sun, because if we can't have it, we might as well get it somewhere. Yeah, highly recommend this. I love these. They're brilliant, just sort of smorgasbord of characters and creators that you don't always see elsewhere. And yeah, highly recommend. Then we're going to go into one of this week's annual offerings from DC. We've got the Harley Quinn 2024 annual. Those of you with particularly keen eyes will notice that this is not the regular main cover that I show on these videos. This is a wonderful variant, and that is because this issue in particular has been very popular here, and we're actually down to our sort of last handful of this cover. And I think that is because of the writer and creator on this issue, Erica Henderson, who hopefully you recognise from all sorts of works, but my particular favourite being The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. This is Erica just cutting loose on a brilliant done-in-one story. Don't need to know what comes before, don't need to know what comes after. It's just Erica having fun with Harley Quinn in her world. And Zatanna, excellent team up, fantastic art, just, yeah. Here you go. I'll let the art speak for itself here. Just brilliant storytelling. Highly, highly recommend if you want to dip your toe into Harley Quinn at the moment. And then we're going to finish up with the Nightwing 2024 annual, which is brought to us by Travis Moore, writing and on art, and is about the sort of quite forgotten until recently character of Bea Bennett, who, if you're unfortunate enough to have read it, you may remember from the Rick Grayson era of Nightwing. However, she's been sort of rehabilitated. She's had some brilliant new angles and history added to her by Tom Taylor recently in the main Nightwing run, and this is Travis Moore sort of giving us that sort of secret origin, filling it out even more and just making her a really interesting character. I think it even says on here, yeah, secret origin of Bea Bennett, Pirate Queen. So you've got pirates, you've got superheroes, you've got secret origins. It's just a perfect mix for a wonderful done-in-one DC annual. So that's everything for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If your eyes have been caught by anything I've been showing off today, please come and join us down at any of our Forbidden Planet stores, or purchase from us at forbiddenplanet.com, where we've got everything I've shown you today and much more available whenever you fancy it.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.